Hey guys, Brad here, and I just want to take a little bit of time to talk with you guys about the concept of your hit list. So, whatever sport you're in, if it's a fighting sport, if it's HEMA, if it's Booher, even in the group fights, pro fights, duels, if you're especially in the SCA and other groups, if you have a lot of like one-on-one competition, you should have a hit list ready, right? And that on that list, even a simplified list, should have, the name of all the combatants that you will potentially need to face in your area, in your sport, in your region, in the SCA, in your kingdom, or known worldwide. Start creating a list of all those people that you might face. This is your hit list. Like an assassin in the game or whatever, these are your targets. These are guys you need to work towards mastery with. Not just, oh, I'm going to split this guy 50-50. That doesn't mean you're any better than him. You need to work towards mastery. And what helps with that is knowledge and being able to stay on track with your pursuit. If you fight somebody and you don't document how that fight went, right? You won't remember it. Especially if you're having a good time, especially if it's intense, and you don't write it down. How are you going to remember it, right? So many times you go to practice and you can spend an hour in armor fighting people, and you maybe remember 2 or 3 different shots you did, right? So it's super important to document everything. So on your hit list, put the guy's name or gal's name. Put their rank. You can even, if you're really have a lot of ingenuity. Sorry for the pause. If you're really into it, you can create character sheets for everyone on your hit list. That's the ideal way to go. A sheet, it could be on paper, it could be online, it could be on your phone. A document where you have their name, their rank or title, a picture of them, their heraldry. And then what you want to do is you want to list from there things like their power, like how hard do they hit, right? And for the SCA and other groups, how hard do they take? Because that'll vary and that'll dramatically affect the strategy they use when fighting. So how hard they hit, how hard they take, the shots that they use all the time. And on top of that, note the ones that actually work. A lot of people throw a lot of shots that don't do any good, right? It just throws into people's sheets. But document the shots that they throw, which you'll find they're probably maybe 4 to 6 shots. Out of like 70 possible shots or whatever, they only throw like 4 or 5 or 6. So document what they throw, document what they're successful at, and then document also, because you've done your video review on them, because you should, or you've watched them fight, what do they die to from other people? Even if you don't know how to do it, what do they actually lose to? So how do they win, and then how do they lose? These are their strengths and their weaknesses. So after you get that information down, you kind of have a character sheet for them, right? You have their name, you have what they like to use, what their strengths, their weaknesses. Then you need to start tracking your fights against them. Your A-game fights, which are tournaments and like serious fights, and then just your training fights. Have some sort of designator that separates them out, right? An A-game fight is whenever your opponent and you are giving your best, right? And normally that'll only occur in tournaments or at a practice if you've actually made an agreement to do that. So track A-game fights like that, and then practice fights have another designator for it, right? Because they may be working on something, you may be working on something, but track those fights each and every time you fight them. Have a journal or something, or put it on the character sheet, maybe the back of it. Wins and losses. Who won, who lost, and what was the winning or losing shot of that engagement, right? And then you can add a few little notes, right? As far as what you saw. Maybe they step this way. Maybe they use a particular feint or something. Put in some details, right? It only takes you a few seconds to write in your fighting journal and then go back out to fight some more. So document how well you did, right? Wins and losses. And then over time, you can track that. Then you can start seeing your win and loss ratio go up or down if you haven't learned anything. But you can start tracking it. And your goal, ultimately your goal, is not to beat people 50-50, right? Your goal on your hit list is to start beating people 100-0, 10-0. Fight them 10 times. If you can fight them 10 times in a row, seriously, and lose none, then you've got that person's number. It's not until then that you're actually, for real, better than them. You know, I'm sorry, a 50-50 split doesn't mean you're equal. And a 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, it means that, yes, you may win more, but it doesn't mean you're better. When you're better is when you beat them every single time. That's the only time you can actually think to yourself, yeah, I got that person. I'll beat them every time. Other than that, you won't beat them every time. It's a lie. Don't lie. Don't lie to yourself. So, track what you're doing. Keep track of your fights on the people on your hit list. And after you box it, I call it check boxing. Because on a hit list, I like it whenever you have, even if it's just a list of names, when you can beat them 10 out of 10, and you have a little checkbox there, and they're done. Basically, they're done. They're on the ladder, the rung below you, permanently, until they evolve. You have their number. Now, that's not to say that you should just assume that you're going to be able to use the same old all the time and kill them, because you never want to go in and absolutely assume they're going to fight the same way they always have. But you have a really good idea. And if you're not reckless, it doesn't matter if they evolve a little bit, because you'll be able to evolve in the middle of that fight if you don't overextend yourself or get reckless or get yourself killed, right? So, as soon as you can achieve a 10 out of 10 victory, then you move on to the next guy. And then you move on to the next guy. And then you move on to the next guy. And your opponent will tell you everything you need to work on, right? If they beat you, they told you what you need to work on, what you missed, what you failed to block, right? So, and if you win against them, you need to mark that down. You need to go, oh, well, this worked this time. And you kind of need to analyze it. Why did it work? Try it again next time. Don't assume it's going to work. But use it again, and if that doesn't work, if they're adapting, then you adapt with them. Point being is, you need to have a systematic method of facing all your opponents. Say you've got 20, 30 guys in your local area. Every single one of them should be on your hit list. And after you master certain ones, because people are slow to evolve, they're pretty lazy overall. They think that if I just go in with my trusty attack pattern alpha, where I throw my head offside leg, and then I come back in and I do that again, eventually that's going to kill the guy. And it won't, because people are pattern creatures. It's really easy to defeat them after you learn that they've only got a certain number of patterns. But you want to have all those people on the list, and then you just want to start checkboxing. You want to learn step by step, document every single step along the way. You want to work towards mastering each person, and eventually you'll work your way up to the higher tiers of fighters, right? And trust me, if you do not have a process where you actually document it, that you can go back to, that you can review, you're not going to remember 8 months later or a year and a half later how that guy fights. You know, you just won't. It goes, we're stick jocks, right? We're fighters. We get hit in the head a lot. A lot of it just goes in one ear and out the other. But if you have Duke Bob, you know, coming up in a crown tournament, and you're all like, okay, I got Duke Bob. What's all my record here? Oh yeah, here. Oh, I got him with this, and I got him with this. Oh, he loves this. Oh, he's really thick to the legs. You know, you will be loaded with like actual data instead of trying to tax your, you know, concussed stick job brain and try to remember it all at one time. Have it documented down. Have your hit list. Make character sheets if you can. Share them with your bros, because that's another thing you can do with your hit list, with your documentation. If you're a knight in the SCA or you're a veteran fighter in other sports, you can refer to your journal and share that with your students. And it helps shortcut their learning massively, right? So if I were you, if you don't have a hit list, I'd say get one. Get one as soon as you can, and don't rush, but just start working on it. Just start working on dialing everybody in. You don't have to tell them that you're assassinating them. You're working to absolutely own them. But it should be your goal. You want to learn everything they have to teach you so that you can counter it, and you can even teach it to other people. It forces them to grow, and it forces you to continue to grow. And that's what this is all about, right? If you think this is just about smacking people in the head and, inflating your ego, well, that's good for you, but you're gonna cap out pretty fast. So make your hit list, put everybody's name on it, even your buddies, and start checkboxing people. And I'll see you later.